Hey everybody, it is Mike with aPlantBasedDiet.org, and I am doing a little video here, as you can tell from the title, about the standard American diet. And it's an important video, I think, because I'll start off right away with why I think it's so important. I think it's because the average person has been brainwashed and taught this. This is the biggest problem. They think the average person thinks the average person who doesn't really think that much about their diet thinks that they're making choices to eat a certain way. But the truth is, this was taught to almost all of us when we were growing up. Early years, even before birth, depending upon what your mother was eating. Before you were born. So let's define it first. Okay, first thing, we're gonna get a video about the standard American diet, or SAD. That's what it stands for. SAD, Standard American Diet. It is a modern dietary pattern that is generally characterized by high intakes of red meat, processed meat, prepackaged foods, butter, fried foods, high-fat dairy products, eggs, refined grains, corn, and high fructose corn syrup along with that, and high sugar drinks. Anybody have like a Red Bull or a 5-hour energy? I think that would fit there. I maybe had this once or twice in my life. The modern standard American diet was brought about by fundamental lifestyle changes following the Neolithic Revolution and later the Industrial Revolution. Okay, because as we know, humans are very efficient beings, right? We do the most efficient thing, and if we don't have to go out and do any work anymore to get our food, we're just going to get the easy stuff, and that's kind of how this just came to light. So, and it says, by contrast, a healthy diet has higher proportions of unprocessed fruits, nuts, vegetables, whole grain foods, and it also says poultry and fish. So this is like a very generic thing here. And as you guys probably know, we are a 100% vegan organization, aPlantBasedDiet.org, and I tend to believe that the standard American diet is not a vegan diet. It definitely has animal products in it, like it says. And I also do believe that a healthy diet, I know that we're in a transition time right now where it's kind of hard to tell, but I do believe that a healthy diet doesn't contain any animal products. And when I say animal products, I don't know why they're putting poultry and fish in there. As far as I'm concerned, any animal muscle is going to be detrimental to the human body. Eat any kind of muscle, like a fish, you're eating animal muscle. Poultry, animal muscle. Red meat, which is definitely the worst, but it's still animal muscle. It's still just a form of that in an animal. So let's get back to, why is this detrimental? Let's go through, talk about some of these things that were pointed out. Red meat, we know. I mean, that's one of the worst things. If you see the video of my story, I did a video about how I got to the way I am and my journey with just learning about the process of learning about diet and lifestyle. Red meat was one of the first things I gave up about 19 years ago when I found out that I had high cholesterol, because just in my quick research, I found out that what's the cause of high blood cholesterol? Well, one of the major causes was red meat. So I eliminated that. Now, processed meat, that also is known to cause cancer these days. I think red meat and processed meat probably. Prepackaged foods. Now, that talks about any kind of prepackaged food. Okay, so let's not think for a minute that if you're vegan, you're not eating the standard American diet. All right, because I think that is probably an inaccurate statement unless you're eating mainly whole plants. If you're eating prepackaged foods, like Pericles over at Green Fair Organic Cafe, he said that junk food is junk food. It doesn't matter if it's animal product based. Doesn't matter if it's plant based. Doesn't matter if it's vegan. Doesn't matter about any of that stuff. If it's junk food, it's bad for you. It's part of the standard American diet. You shouldn't eat it. And also, what's really funny too is, like, I used to eat a lot of candy because I travel a lot, and I use that instead of caffeine to keep me going, and it's bad. I mean, but one of the things you notice is that it's kind of ironic is that all this candy, so much of the candy, I'm not talking about the chocolate bars, because those are terrible. The amount of saturated fat in those things is unbelievable. I don't care if it's vegan or not. Don't have that form of chocolate. Have another form of chocolate. There's way better forms of cocoa than in a solid chocolate bar full of fat. The wrong kinds too. But the fruity candy, like the low fat or no fat candies that I would eat, is just full of added sugar. They try to mimic fruits, is what they try to do, right? The taste of fruit, the sweetness of fruit. It's all they're doing is trying to mimic fruits. If you can get some good fruits, it's just way better for you than that. Another form of prepackaged food. Okay, now butter. Butter is something else I gave up 19 years ago. I also did my research and I found that butter is just bad for you. All kinds of issues with your cholesterol, saturated fats, and don't think we're talking just about animal product butter. Any of these faux vegan plant-based butters that are full of some of them are organic, I guess, but they're still full of all these bad fats or too much of fat that's gonna harm you. You don't want to be eating that stuff. Butter is bad, whether it's animal product or no animal product. Fried foods, yeah, fried is the worst way to order food. I don't care if you love it and you're addicted to it. That's the thing. If you're addicted to some of these things, you got to recognize that you were trained this way. Things that you're doing right now, I mean, unless you were raised by some parents that were eating just whole plant foods and you rebelled and you're eating this stuff now, I don't know anybody that fits that definition. If you do, write them in the comments. Go to VeganVideos.info, write it there. I'll see it right now. I'll read that person's name off. But everybody else is not making a personal choice. You got to understand that if you're eating this way, you were taught this way. Somebody taught you. You are not making a choice. Because if you were making a choice and you were raised by somebody eating the standard American diet, you would eating nothing but whole plants these days. So you got to get past that. If you want to do something, if you really want to live your own life, you got to do your research, learn. Keep an attitude of continuous improvement, and you won't be eating this stuff anymore. Because whoever taught you that probably wasn't doing that. And this is 19. Oh, that's the other thing. We're in 2019 now, right? We have the world of information right here at our fingertips. I can just look this stuff up whenever I want. I can look up anything I want on this device. But people don't use it for that. It's amazing to me because I grew up, Generation X. I was born in 1970. I'm almost 50 years old. And when I grew up, it was very hard to do research. You had to go to the library where nobody wanted to go. It was a boring place. You fall asleep. You had to go through the card catalog. Half the time, if you're looking for something specific, it wasn't there. You had to get the book sent to you. It took days until it gets to you. And now, all you have to do is look on your phone, and it just amazes me, the laziness, I guess. But it's more than lazy. It's like humans are efficient, right? They want to do the most efficient thing. They want to do the least amount of work. And you can call it lazy. I guess it is lazy. But I'd figure that now you have all this information, you could at least learn quickly. But people don't do it. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. All right, so let's move on. They talk about fried foods. Then they say high-fat dairy products. Now, when I was eating the standard American diet, I guess way back when I started off with high-fat dairy products, but I transitioned to like skim milk and low-fat dairy products. But that still has the casein and the casomorphine in there, which is addicting. And I was having some conversations about this the other day too. Here's the problem. The reason why you can't get off these dairy products, again, you're not making a choice. And here's another reason why you're not making a choice. You're not choosing your own life. And I encourage you to choose your own life and not how you were programmed or brainwashed to do it. Because these casomorphines that are in dairy products, if you think about it, first of all, this is milk designed for baby animals. We're not baby animals. We're humans. And these baby animals, when they come out, they can't talk. They can't really communicate. They're just like a human baby, right? Can't really talk, can't communicate. I mean, there's some weird nonverbal ways, but you can't communicate the fact that, hey baby, you need to go over here and you need to drink this dairy product so that you grow enough to get all the nutrients you need so that you are not malnourished. You can't explain that to some baby that was just born or even one that's 6 months old. They're not going to understand any of that, no matter what you do. So nature has a way, right? They put these casomorphines into the dairy products, and I think that's in human dairy milk as well, where the baby is attracted to keep going back, get them addicted, keep going back. Does this make sense? If it does, say something in the comments, because this is how nature works, right? This is the purpose of that milk. It's not for humans. It's definitely not for adults of any kind. Why would you want to keep yourself addicted to something? I mean, now that I've told you this, and maybe you understand it, why would you want to continue down that path? Why would you want to continue to keep yourself addicted to something that's not even designed for your species, not even designed for your age range? And the reason why it's addictive is because there's no way to effectively communicate the necessity of the infants of that species to have that milk, right? That's it. So I don't even know how milk really ever made sense to go into the standard American diet, but it did, and that's where it is. And like I said, make your own choices. What else we have? Eggs. Eggs is in there yet? Get rid of those, especially the yolks. Like it's like almost 100% of the recommended daily value of cholesterol in one egg yolk. You want to stay away. Refined grains. That's any kind of flour, basically. Even people say that certain types of flour, even if it's from whole grains, maybe you don't want to use it because it's refined. It's any kind of really highly processed versions of foods because your body is designed to break these things down. And another thing that I've learned recently is that when you refine things, a lot of times these foods, even if they're natural foods like grains, are encased. They're encased in a protective layer. And one of the functions of that protective layer, in addition to many other things I'm sure about keeping pollutants or what bad things out of the food, is that when you get it, it gets into your digestive system. It's harder for your body to digest this stuff when it gets into your intestines. So a lot of it passes through, like fiber things. This is where the whole concept of fiber comes from, right? And the fiber gets messed up actually when you stick it in the blender. I make smoothies. It kind of breaks this stuff down. So when you refine it and process it, you are breaking that down. You're making it be able to be absorbed more quickly by the intestines, more quickly than your body was ever designed to absorb it. Does that make sense? If it makes sense, leave me a comment. So that's why this is part of, again, the standard American diet, which is just bad news on a number of levels. And like I said, the way it gets sucked into your intestines and straight in your bloodstream, all those calories all of them get in there instead of only some of them. Potatoes, I'm not sure why that's in there, because there are like potato diets, right? If anybody knows, let me know in the comment. Corn and high fructose corn syrup. Yeah, corn is part of the standard American diet, and it's mostly all non-organic corn. GMO stuff with lots of herbicides and pesticides used in the growing of it, and you're eating all these chemicals. You don't want to do that. And then high sugar drinks, like we talked about earlier on, which I don't drink. Although I shouldn't say that, because Denise, my wife, kind of got me into coffee a little bit, which I'm trying to get off of now. And I still want some coffee, but the kind of coffee I drink is not just straight coffee. It's like a milkshake, right? It's like a mocha is what I drink, like a mocha latte. It's all plant-based, but it's got all kinds of high sugar stuff in it. So, all right, so here's something I want to talk about too in terms of how this relates to the standard American diet. I want to talk about sugars. I want to talk about carbs. And we should mention SOS while we're talking about this, because that's a common term people use. No SOS, no sugar, no added oil, no added salt. If you're eating the standard American diet, they don't even mention it in here, but you're probably, almost all your food has added sugar, added oil, and added salt. Sugar is most of the time in the standard American diet cane sugar, refined cane sugar, highly processed with little to no nutritional value. It's just sweetening, and it's going to rot. It's going to give you lots of calories quickly, absorb quickly in your gut, like we talked about, and it's going to rot your teeth out too. It's all bad. There's really no good from that if you think about it. If you think about it enough. The oil. What's oil? Oil is the most highly processed form of a food you can get. I don't care if it's olive oil, because olives are good, but olive oil is bad because it takes almost all the good stuff out. Almost all the good stuff. Just traces of it left, and then it's almost 100% fat. Okay, so that's just adding more weight and calories. You don't want that. And then salt. So many conditions in the body are exacerbated by having high sodium. And I'm not talking about you if you're out there running a long distance run and you got to take these sodium tablets, because what happens? It makes you gain and retain water by eating all the sodium. Or you can just eat the standard American diet. You're going to gain and retain water all the time. Not to mention the effects that have negative effects it has on blood pressure and all kinds of other stuff. So that's SOS. Now, the sugars. Let's go back to the S part, added sugar. Well, I do add some sugars, I guess, to my diet. Not in the way the standard American diet is done. I usually will use like a date paste. You guys ever know what that is? You take dates, and in my case, dates are a fruit. In case you don't know, you can buy it in grocery stores. I buy organic dates. They're almost all dehydrated, unfortunately. And let's see, the thing is, you can make like almost a nutritious sweetener. I guess that's what dates are, because they're very high in potassium. Actually, dates are way higher than I believe bananas, and you can put them in your blender. You have to break them up so that the particles of fiber are getting messed up, but they're still in there. Okay, and you make a paste out of it, and that's what sweetens your stuff. it's pretty good. Or I use maple syrup. That also works well. That's straight from the maple tree. And my stomach's growling. I need to get some lunch. So that's what I do for sugar. That's been my change recently from the standard American diet anyways. I try to not buy or consume foods that have these refined, empty calorie, no nutritional value sugars to something that has some nutritional value to it, right? And maybe some fiber and those types of things, like a date paste or like maple syrup. So those are good alternatives. Now let's talk about carbohydrates, okay? Because the standard American diet also has a lot of carbohydrates, and people say carbs are bad, and on and on and on. But what kind of carbs are we talking about? That's something that a lot of people leave out of the equation, they leave out of the discussion, and it needs to be discussed because there are two very, very different sets of carbohydrates. The kind that's good for you and you want all you can get, which is from whole or minimally processed plants, organic preferably, but whole or minimally processed plants, all those carbs, it's tons of carbs. Those are the kind of carbs that you want to eat. But the refined carbs, like the processed carbs, even though I'm talking about bread, that's a refined processed carb. And they're talking about all kinds of prepackaged foods full of carbs, right? Um, those are the kinds you don't want, okay? And all kinds of stuff with flour in it, baked goods. And this also, again, this talks about vegan stuff, plant-based stuff. If you're eating a lot of baked goods, it's okay to eat every once in a long while, but don't eat it every day. Don't eat it even maybe once a week, maybe, okay? But the average person needs to stay away from these types of carbs. You need to eat the good carbs. Carbs aren't bad. It's the type of carbs. If you're eating junk food carbs, it's bad. It's totally bad. But if you're eating, plant-based stuff, whole or minimally processed plants, that is exactly what you want to eat. And, so I think that's most of the stuff I wanted to talk about here with the standard American diet. So yeah, the healthy diet is just the opposite of that, and it's a choice, right? The standard American diet is not a choice. People, especially Americans, seem to be so, freedom this, freedom that. I'm doing this because that's what I want to do. Well, if you're eating the standard American diet, you're not really doing what you want to do. You're doing what you were brainwashed and taught at a very young age. You're doing what all of these large, entrenched corporations want you to do. You are not doing what you want to do. Nobody wants to be unhealthy that I know of, okay? And if you do, there's something else going on there, okay? There's nothing more important than your health, really. I think that almost everyone would agree. No matter what you have, there's nothing more important. So if you believe that, and you believe in making your own choices, living your own life, and having freedom, it's very important that you move away from the standard American diet as we've defined here today. You've got to move as far away from it as possible, and that's kind of what our channel is about too. We have channels, we have events. We want people to move away from this stuff, and it's a process. There's many steps in this process too. I'd say just eliminating animal products is a step in this process, although it's not the end all be all, because like I said, just people have pointed out junk food is junk food, even if it's full of, even if it's pure vegan food, I guess, there's not many animal products, it still might be junk food. So there's so many steps, and you probably never will actually get to the very end and be perfect, and there's no such thing as being perfect anyway. But there is such thing as continuous learning and improvement, and in most cases, with most things, like everybody knows, I think, if you're not moving in the right direction, if you're not improving, you're probably backsliding. So it's very important that you understand the concepts here that we're discussing today. And if you want help, we have all kinds of local groups in different areas that we're in with our nonprofit, aPlantBasedDiet.org. We've got groups in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. We've got groups over most of Florida, in the DC area, up in New England, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. We're adding these areas. We've got all types of local groups. They're on Facebook. You can just write me something in the comments below. I'll steer you in the right direction. And I think all of our groups, on our website. You want to learn about our local groups? aPlantBasedDiet.org. We have a website that we launched within the last year, and that stuff is on there. Also, these videos, like if you're watching this video, I don't know where you're watching it. We were broadcasting it over a lot of different social media platforms right now, but our home base is PlantBasedVideos.info. PlantBasedVideos.info. Just go there. That will take you straight to our YouTube channel, unless you're in YouTube. If you're in YouTube, type aPlantBasedDiet.org, because that's the actual name. But if you're anywhere else in a browser, of any kind, type in plantbasedvideos.info. We have over 1,000 videos in there. All kinds of stuff, from simple stuff like we're just going out to eat and this is what we get, at all these restaurants, because you can get plant-based stuff everywhere, vegan stuff everywhere, to some of the super healthiest food, to some of the worst vegan junk food. We've got it on there, but at least it's focused on eliminating the animal products, right? And a lot of people, that's a big step, eliminating the animal products, getting out of the brainwashing of the standard American diet, like I said, getting away from the casomorphine, I think is what it's called, that leads their babies back to their mother for milk. You don't need that stuff as a grown up. It's bad news. You don't want. It's not designed for you. I know there's all kinds of negative consequences due to humans, due to adults having this kind of stuff. So you want to do that. Oh, and events. We have live events. Go to plantbasedevents.info. We have a whole calendar of events up and down the East Coast, live events throughout the year. So join us at one of our events. They're a lot of fun. A lot of them are festivals. A lot of them are at restaurants. Just all kinds of stuff where you can meet like-minded people and kind of hang out. And it's good to know that you're not alone. The hardest part about changing a habit, any habit, and that's the whole main idea of this video, is you got to change this habit that somebody instilled in you at an early age, not because of any other reason, because then it not only it's gonna better your health. You're gonna start making some real decisions on your own for the first time in your life, possibly, and you're gonna be benefiting so many other things. Our slogan is for people, animals, and our planet. These other things also get benefited when you make the right choices. So educate yourself. Like I said, get on that smartphone. Start reading and learning all you can. Those are our resources, but there are many other resources out there. And I hope you guys start to investigate this and learn more. And thanks so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. See you in the next video. Bye.